Public hearing. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for waiting, guys. I appreciate it. No problem. At this point, I'll open the meeting and I'll ask our town clerk to read the notice of public hearing.
Notice of public hearing, Town of Brunswick, introductory local law number 1 of 2023. Notice is hereby given that there has been introduced before the town board of the Town of Brunswick, New York, a proposed local law which would enact a 4-month extension of a moratorium on the filing, acceptance, review, or determination of any land use application pertaining to commercial solar collector systems in the Town of Brunswick. Such moratorium was enacted through Brunswick Local Law Number 9 of 2022. A complete copy of introductory local law number 1 of 2023 is available for inspection at the Town of Brunswick's clerk's office. Now therefore, pursuant to section 20 of the Municipal Home Rule Law, the Town Board of the Town of Brunswick, New York will hold a public hearing on the aforesaid introductory local law at the Brunswick Town Hall, 336 Town Office Road, Troy, New York, on Thursday, December 14th, 2023, at 6 p.m., at which all persons interested therein shall be heard. Town of Brunswick Town Board. This notice was posted on the Town Bulletin Board, the town website, and published in the Eastwood Press.
Okay, thank you. At this point, I'll open up the public. Do we have any questions or comments? Come on, Jim. Come on up, Jim. Have your name and address, please.
Yeah, Jim Tatchik, 387 Brunswick Road. And I didn't know if there was gonna be like a preamble to this or anything, I guess not. Start in. I'm gonna start. Yeah.
That's really sideways.
Thank you.
I'd like to revisit history here and go back to the first attempt at the solar moratorium. Right?
Yeah.
Phil, do you remember this?
Go ahead.
Do you remember when it was?
One
When?
year ago, with the
No,
moratorium.
no, the original one.
Original.
Andy's got a very good memory.
Well, certainly a handful of years ago.
I'd say 6 years ago? That's about right? Okay. So this was started, and then it was abandoned. I'm not sure the purpose of the whole thing was or why it was abandoned. But it wasn't even voted on, with the town board. So, just to go back to that. But, one of the difficulties, one of the things we were trying to alleviate it was the zoning, conflicts with the zoning, in this moratorium, right?
Mhm.
These were known 6 years ago. Why weren't these worked on in intervening 6 years instead of waiting to put a total solar moratorium a year ago? Okay? Okay, a bit of foot dragging, I'd say. Okay? What has been done this year specifically, for example, from what I indicated a very good description of this, probably like in October this year, about the zoning difficulties, and then the trying to maybe bump up pilot payments, and like what specifically was done, for example, on the zoning, to correct the zoning so it would accommodate accurately and completely the solar projects.
See, maybe I'm wrong here, but we got a public hearing, and what I like to do is get your concerns. I want to get in a question and answer and be here You know, am I wrong here? I mean, I gotta answer everything. I mean, I just like to have your
Well, I'd like to know what
concern.
progress was made
You're
during,
required to accept public comment.
It's a public comment, so
what
we'll
progress.
voice your, I mean, put your concerns in there. You don't want us to go back 6 years.
My
or
concern
be
is-
here for
My concern is,
3 hours.
that, in the course of the year, no progress was made. That's my
Okay.
concern.
For last year, no progress has been
Well,
made.
so contradict me. Tell me what progress was made. If you-
So what you're saying is, as far as you know, the consultant that we hired hasn't done anything in the year.
I'm not,
Is that what you're saying?
I haven't,
No, that's what you're saying.
no, I'm not saying, because it's not the consultant's job to do this, it's the town board job.
We've asked the consultants to look into
Okay.
different
As the-
concerns, and he tells me it's a complicated process, and he's talking to all these people, so I think things have been happening, or I know things have been happening, so.
Okay, as of last Wednesday when I saw you,
Yeah,
the consultant's report hadn't been done.
hasn't been handed in, that's
Okay.
correct.
Have you gotten it since then?
I have seen the draft now of what he handed in,
So, okay.
yeah,
uh,
up to this point, so, yeah.
So, but from what.
And it's still not quite complete, so.
All right. From what Mr. Bonesteel said, also in September, when you remember that when you were here? I think October, that his concerns and the report concerns were not dealing with the zoning. These are more technical matters, all right? So if he's not, I don't know, what does that answer?
You address-
That's
address us,
my concern, based on what he said, that the zoning wasn't addressed. So who's addressing the zoning? That's my concern,
Okay,
all right? The other thing is with the concern about trying to get the pilots to try to maximize the amount of money coming in. And that's gonna be done in coordination with the county, right?
okay.
And who's dealing with the county? Who on the town board is dealing with the county? Who is the person?
The original pilot, Gordy was involved with that, correct? And the county was involved, and the school was involved. Yeah.
But who's dealing with it? Is anybody dealing with the county now to, if this was a concern on the part of the town, there must be a problem with it. So what specifically was the problem? What's being done? Who's the county person responsible for this? Now, I talked to Mr. Film several times. Before the moratorium went into effect. And he explained this in great detail. I think he had a pretty good handle on it. Who's his successor in that position? How can you talk to him then?
We haven't talked to anybody yet, we're trying to,
Andy has been in touch with the county.
Well, that's,
so Andy's been in touch with the county, and
What does that have to do with commenting on the?
because if you haven't done anything in the past year.
no,
I thought-
that's not true.
Okay, and then,
See, when you work on a draft, you're trying to gather things, it's not official, so you can't, if somebody suggests something and you hear it, whoa, 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 whoa.
well,
It's not,
if I have these incorrect notions with facts, disabuse me of these notions, okay? And tell me what's been going on.
Huh?
You made your comments, Jim. I don't think he has to disabuse you of anything.
Just give me your concerns, you know, I'll.
Well, I mean, my concern is that you had a year to work on this.
Yep. We've been working on it.
You want another 4 months.
Yep.
Right? And then, before the new, solar regulations come into effect, you have to have, an amendment to the zoning laws, right? That's what it says in the moratorium there, right? It says it, and so how long does that take?
Why is there a rush? I mean, here we are working, trying to get everything organized and together so we can give you a final drawing on this or fact of what we're gonna do with this thing. However, I'm not quite so sure, Jim, whatever we do, you'll probably be up on the next week telling us we did something wrong.
Well, is there?
But no, but we're working on this thing diligently. We don't freaking just sit on our laurels and not do anything. You know, this is a time constraint on things, and we're trying to do things proper. And we're trying to please everybody in this town, not just you.
Just, okay.
So,
All I'm asking,
Your other concern,
yeah, I'm asking, I'd like to see some evidence of that, that's all.
okay.
And I'd like to see is Wayne's report gonna be made public sometime?
Yeah,
Draft right now.
it's a draft right now, and it's interagency material until it's accepted and acted upon by the town board. And then it's final agency policy, and then it's open under floor.
About how long would that take?
I don't have any idea yet because we haven't received it yet.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And Gordon, what's the rush is that, you know, New York State, among the rest of the country, is trying to, you know, push solar energy for a purpose.
yeah.
Right.
Or, yeah.
And that's the rush, I guess. That's one of the rushes. Also, it's cost of town money. Every project
Just
that
because
doesn't
the
get put online.
government's rush doesn't mean it's gonna tailor into our country living out here. We understand that things have to go green, but we're trying to do it right.
But Gordy, everybody has to use electricity.
Everybody has to
Country.
use electricity. And, you know, with all these things here, what's the benefit to us on the electricity that's made here in the town of Brunswick? It pushes back on the grid and it could be sold in Ohio. All we're doing is making solar energy to push back on the grid.
Well, you do get the pilot payments for this.
We get a pilot payment, which isn't worth as much as if I put houses on that land. And then you do understand, of course, on a pilot program, 50% of that pilot goes to the school.
I understand.
25% of it goes to the county, and the remaining 25% comes to us, which doesn't leave us a lot of money in our coffers for this whole endeavor. There's a lot that goes into this. The decommissioning of this stuff, it's not a slam dunk. It has a whole lot of stuff that has to go into it. Where the transmissions are supposed to be, where it can be put. It's just not, let's do it. It's gotta have a whole lot of research into it to try to do it right. And even then, we probably won't have it right, because the government will come along and change the plan.
Well,
And that's what's happened all along with their rulings and changes and how much we can charge on pilots, how much, you know, and it's just a difficult task. It's not, it's a legal, you know, situation that's got to be done with engineers and lawyers to try to figure out what's the best for our community and for you, Jim Catchick. I don't worry about what's happening in Ohio. I'm more concerned about what's happening in the town of Brunswick and whether or not I have a solar, wake up in the morning and look out my front door and have glass staring at me. It should be put in the proper position where it doesn't change. Now, we had a master plan, right? And we decided to keep the country rural. Now, if it's all glass, how is it going to remain the rural? Where would you put it? Would you want it across the street from your house, 100, you know, 5?
Gordy, there are several operations in the town now.
There are.
And you can't even see them.
That's right, but there's some that are coming forth that you will be able to see, and they're going to be an eyesore. And you know that.
Well,
And that's the kind of stuff that we're trying to alleviate. Granted, we know we got to do it, but there's a lot of people that moved out here that don't want to look out their window and see nothing but 20 acres of glass, including you, I'm sure. I mean, some of this stuff presents glare. It's not a slam dunk. And we're trying to put forth as much possible effort we can to make these projects unintrusive on the people that have to live around them.
Gordy, I don't disagree with you. But my point is, I think the town just procrastinates on this.
They did not procrastinate on anything. We've been working on it ever since we took on the moratorium. And it's not a 5-minute thing. And believe it or not, when we hire these lawyers and consultants, they cost a lot of money too. It's not a slam dunk. We're not, we're trying to look forward to the professionals that deal with this stuff so we can do it properly, right? You would like it done properly, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and in a
Yeah.
timely manner also.
So,
Yeah. Just a comment, yeah, a year doesn't seem like a long time, I understand. And the extension, I believe we probably have two more, I don't want two more, I want one more extension, which is like 4 months, and then we gotta move ahead. My concern, and some of the board concern is, I get to a point at my age, I've talked to a lot of people, I get to a point where I think I can believe people, and then all of a sudden, I'm not sure if I can believe them or not. And these solar companies come in and they say to the town, this is the only place we can put this solar project. This is the only place, we gotta put it here. For feeder lines are there, substation, it's gotta go there. Now, is that true? I don't know, you know? Maybe, then they come in, and then we approve a project, and then Jim, what they say is, when they're making the presentation, this is it. There's no more capacity, the substations are full. That's what they're telling us, so we're saying, okay, so the project gets approved. How many have we got approved? 4 so far? Altogether, that's approved.
We have 6.
We have 6 approved.
Yes, a number of
I'm losing
construction,
track.
some under construction, some to be constructed.
We have, right, we have 6 approved, pretty good sized projects too. They tell us, you know, that's it. And then all of a sudden they come back in and they can, all of a sudden they say, wait a minute. The one that comes in says, like up by Bucks, everything's full, that substation's full, Brunswick's saturated. And then all of a sudden we got another one comes in over here on Moon Lawn for 100 acres, whatever it is. So they're telling us one thing and we're listening. I just want to know what to believe. And then Gordy, along with some help, or other people in the county and the school, did this pilot program, you know? They didn't really want to pay the town any taxes, to be honest with you. This is big benefits. And we're saying, no, you're taking our land, you should contribute. So they sat down and quite a process. They agreed with a pilot. Okay, we'll pay you this much megawatts, is that the right term? We can do that, we can do that. So we're good. Next project comes in, no, we can't afford that. The economics change. Well, has the economics changed? I don't know if they have or not. So do we say, okay, you only have to pay half what the last guy does, you know? I don't know who to believe.
Or you just.
And like right now, the way we are, we're mostly agricultural, and right now, I believe the solar can go in our agricultural, our A40. And there's 80%, I gotta be careful with my numbers, but there's a large number of acreage of zone A40. And then all of a sudden, we're looking down by the country club with a solar in a residential area and say, whoa, wait a minute, we got all these acres and acres and acres. How come you gotta go there? We're a public utility. What's that mean? We're like National Grid. You don't have a say.
No, I don't-
We can put them in residential. That's what they're saying, and we're saying, is that true? Is it a public? So what I'm saying is, I try to believe people, and I say, let's prove it, let's move. But for the good of the town, we gotta get these consultants and these engineers, and we gotta have some proof. And that's what's taking a little bit, so. Go ahead.
Well,
That's
you know,
where I'm coming from.
if somebody doesn't want to pay the pilot to say no. You know,
Everybody's got lawyers, everybody wants to sue, so we try, we document things, you know, we gotta have proof. If I found, say, I'm gonna say, no, I don't believe it, without any technical proof behind me. So we just gotta go through this moratorium, take a step back, and that's what we've done. And you're right, it took some time, and I'm being told by our consultants that they've been talking to people, and whatever. So I agree, I mean, a year is a long time, but we're gonna get there. But we need to know who to believe here, and I gotta have some proof or some expert opinion. That's where I'm coming from, so. Okay?
well, the solar companies aren't a monolithic structure. You know, there are a lot of different solar companies. So, you can see what each of them have to offer, possibly. And you take the best offer.
And what happens is, you deal with a solar company, you deal with the people, and you get a relationship with them, and you say they're good people, and I trust them, they got a good background, you approve it, the farmer, sells their land to them, and they're great people, they start to build, and whoa, what is this? They just sold the whole project to investors out of New York City who don't have a clue where the town of Brunswick is. Well, wait a minute, what happened to the guy that I've been having lunch with that I like? He's gone. So now I got investors that owns the property. So it's not a relationship that you can,
That's no different than somebody buying a grocery store.
what I'm saying is, they're not, this is a business, you know? You could say, I trust you, Jim, you're great. But then you turn around and people out of New York, it's a different thing.
But the people out of New York are constrained by the same agreement as the original people. All right? It's like if Walmart sold out to another chain or Price Chopper sold out to Wegmans. They're still, you know, it's that they're still,
Yeah.
they're gonna do business according to the laws of the town. So it's
And
like.
you hope they do, but then they don't really come through and do what they're supposed to do, and then you end up with lawyers and stuff. So It's just a mess.
That's a problem. All right, thanks.
With a guy like Warren Fain, I shake his hand. Warren Fain, 90 years old, over my whole lifetime, would tell me something. And I'd say, I got an agreement with Warren, he sells out to some big company and say, you gotta live with the same terms. And all of a sudden they say, well, if the president down in New Jersey doesn't agree. So we're just looking out for the town interest, and I know you wanna get it done. I know you believe in solar. We've got big projects that already are in use. And so we're not against solar, but we just gotta make sure who's telling us the truth here, so. All right, my friend?
Hmm. What do you think?
Anybody else at this point? Are we okay? All right, we're good. Any other comments at this point? If not, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make it.
Get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Got another one there in 5 minutes. I'll be on time for this one.
House of Garage.